She survived heartbreak, homelessness, and a heart attack. Part 2 now of my interview with actress, writer, and producer Rosie Murray-Tingling. I'm Archibald Gordon. This is Profile. Welcome to Profile. This is part 2 of my interview with Rosie Murray-Tingling, writer, actress, and producer. And at the end of part 1 last week, we were talking a little bit about just separating Rosie the person and Rosie the actress and the producer and the writer as you would go on to be. And on that note, you leave Edna Manley now and you're talking about your first job, which happens to be now at Federal Records.
Yes, man.
So, and that opened a completely different industry to you. This is the music world.
This is a music world. Well, let's call it completely different, but then I always had that interest.
Yes.
Because I was the kind of student that would save up the lunch money and go to Derek Harriott One Stop to buy the latest records, or the arcade downtown with Beanie to buy the... So now here I got the opportunity to sit in studio,
see production.
Clive Hunt was the other day making reference to when I was there. I was a little bald one, little faced one that you could not go to the studio unless you passed through me, kind of a thing. And I met all of these musicians and artists that are now amazing people. But at the time, I was just fascinated to sit in the studio and watch the creation of a song. I would be at the front desk, but then I'd be in the studio as well. Lloyd Chalmers was the person who was in the studio. And he helped me to sort of figure my way around. And so that now just created a whole new fire in wanting to play music. Not literally as a musician, but select music. And so my music knowledge grew from little bit a girl.
They've said everything now is, it's so interesting, ends up serving a purpose.
Yeah.
Because that now, you learn it as a craft, you go to England, you come back now, and you go into music production, and the next part of your journey is to become a broadcaster. So when you go and you do that now, first of all, why? Why the broadcasting?
So I was always someone who would get lost in media. So it was radio and it was the movies, right? And going back now to the days when the parents would say, you saying the body look like you on TV? You know, these are all Caucasians and wonder, how do you think you're going to end up there? And I would say, I'm going to end up there. And so I was immersed in radio as well, because I was fascinated from very young with just music, the lyrics and just the presenters. And then I fell in love with Leonie Forbes. Leonie Forbes had a program where she played music and she had poetry. And so this was linking
it's a beautiful voice, by the way.
You
just
understand
lovely tone.
me? So this is now two things that I love, poetry and music, and just her delivery. And I was like, and on top of it now, she was also on television. So she was an actress as well. And she looked like me, because she didn't have nose and she didn't have my color too. And she was doing all of these things. And I said, you know, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. At some point in my life, I'm going to do all of that.
One of your big moments is delivering the national news of Michael Manley's death.
1997.
1997, and anchoring through the night.
Anchoring through the night. I was still a pretty young broadcaster. Gladstone Wilson, I've got to just give you all of the big ups, because you trained me and you had me, you know, you had your thumbs on just how I conducted myself as a broadcaster. And he was the one that came into the studio. I hosted a program called Journeys at the time, and he was the one that came in and said, listen, Michael Manley just died. You are now going to have to tell the nation. And believe me, I was shaking like a leaf, because this is, you know, something that you're going to land on the world. Yes. And I had to do it.
Everybody's going to hear it.
Everybody's going to hear it. And I had to do it. And then Fredrine Lewin, who came in right after me, she had a program, an all-night program. He said, listen, we are going to now do a program all night now about this. So I anchored. Fredrine was the host. He was a producer. I was the anchor.
So
back in the day, you were a combo, right? So you had to be able to do everything in the studio that a technical operator would do, as well as host. And so I was doing it all. I was answering the phone. I was taking the thing. Are
you making it up, by the way?
Yes,
you're making it up.
Yes.
Yeah, you're creating the content on there. It doesn't exist yet. He would have any planning?
No planning. And he would bring in some little notes and stuff, and we'd read, and we'd take another call, and it went all night, right through until 6 o'clock the next morning. It was time for Marlene and Tony.
So this is all of those different kind of experiences. When you reflect on it now, all of those different kind of experiences were shaping you.
Yes.
So this is the time for this Michael Manley, but at the same time, you are continuing to develop a career off.
Yes.
Off air, on stage at the same time.
Yes.
Played Oliver's girlfriend in Marie and Oliver at Large. But then pregnancy altered that.
Yes.
And it also led to, that was the beginning of a series of different kind of programs that you were involved in on local TV. Groundbreaking programs, by the way. Yes. So we're talking about Oliver at Large, we're talking about Titus, Sarge in Charge. What was that experience of creating this creating these programs at a time when they didn't exist?
You know, again, I've always been somebody who I just deal with challenges. I don't think about how momentous or how strange this was. I just immerse myself in it. Just like immerse myself in motherhood as well, and being a single mother as well. So I was just up for the challenge. Ed Wallace again played a large part in asking me to direct 2 episodes of Sergeant Charge as a young actress, never direct before. But he said he saw this thing, we'd be in rehearsals and what I would note and the comments I would make and the guidance that I would give. He said he saw this in me, and he said, I'm going to give you. Something happened, something very dramatic happened, and he was left without a director, and he said, I'm going to ask you to direct this episode. And the team was very good. Oliver was amazing. Teddy Price and the rest were really, really very amazing and accommodating. And anything that I'm going to do, I always do some research. It was so exciting because now I could put my ideas in this production the way that I would want to see it happen.
All right, I want to talk a little bit about that and to delve into that, but I have to take our first break on Profile. We're talking to Rosie Murray-Tingling, actor, director, producer, and we're back with you after these messages.